Lawless leftist policies have been a focus on today's show. Many are crying foul over D.C. Circuit Judge James Boasberg letting a woman go who threatened to kill the President of the United States. Seems his ideological kin are busy up in Canada. After years of allowing public Islamic prayer, the government of Canada, of Quebec, Canada, is considering a bill banning all forms of public prayer. You heard that right. Instead of freedom and liberty for all, Canada is opting for liberty for none. According to Canada's secularism minister, yes, they actually have a minister dedicated to godlessness. The government is uneasy with what he describes as a growing phenomenon of people praying in the streets, especially in Quebec's crown jewel of Montreal. Let's chat about this with the host of the Charbon Report, Michael A. Charbon. It's good to see you, Michael. I've said we in America have very little in common with leftists in Europe. Now you show me a neighbor to the north that is even more antithetical to liberty. Does Canadian law actually allow this kind of attack on its people?
Well, Chris, this is in Montreal and in the province of Quebec, but for the last 7 months, a group called Montreal for Palestine is conducting mass Muslim prayers on Sundays on the doorstep of Montreal's landmark Notre Dame Basilica in Montreal, where they illegally occupy and physically take over streets, parks, sidewalks, public places with prayer rugs, and hundreds of mass Muslims kneeling. And further, many of them are in support of anti-Israel, pro-Palestinian demonstrations. I mean, this has been going on, Chris, since the 17th of October, to the extent that one imam stated in Arabic language prayers destroy the Zionist aggressors, and one solution is intifada, which is basically civil unrest and rebellion. I mean, over the summer, there were some counter demonstrations by Quebec nationalists, Canadians, if you wish. They said that the streets of Montreal are not open-air mosques to be occupied by religious fundamentalists. I mean, the Quebec Premier, François Legault, he wants to enforce this law. But you also have to understand one other point here is that there's Bill C-21 in Quebec that prohibits teachers, judges, police officers, doctors, nurses, any public sector employees to be wearing any spiritual or religious identifiers. No hijabs, no face coverings, no turbans, yarmulkes, or crosses, because they wish to put forth a secular service. But this is way offside here. They're stopping traffic. This happened in March in Toronto. You can't do that. If you wish to go to your church, your synagogue, or your mosque and pray to your God, you go right ahead, but you don't stop traffic.
Well, Michael, let me ask you, is it legal to block traffic in Canada?
No, Chris, it's not. It's not illegal. And
okay,
if you wish to have a demonstration, if you wish to have a demonstration,
right, well, let me get a series of questions in here. So, if it's not legal to block traffic, you should be arresting people for blocking traffic. If it's not illegal for them, if it's illegal for them to be impeding other people's progress, then absolutely they should be arrested for that. But the idea to sit there and say that because they think the genesis of this is prayer and now nobody can pray in public, isn't that a bit extreme? Because Ronald Reagan rightly pointed in the human history showing that every great nation in human history, the precursor to their fall has always been turning away from their God or gods. Isn't that what Canada's fate is, and maybe perhaps the fate of the West if they go down that road?
I think that's more of a radical point of view. I think what you have to consider, Chris, is when people take over streets en masse. I don't see 200 or 300 Christians or 200 or 300 Jews stopping traffic and starting to pray. That has not been a situation. It has been the Muslim faith. And the unfortunate circumstances in tandem with that are pro-Palestinian flags and demonstrations where actually the pro-Palestinian movement is using religion as an excuse to stop their demonstrations. And can you imagine, Chris, watch this, right? You have the police trying to take away 200 Muslim prayer rugs and prayer. I mean, that would be a fiasco. So that's what the problem is.
Well, yeah, and you know what? Frankly, I say if they're blocking traffic, arrest them for blocking traffic. But the idea that you would get away a fundamental Western tenet of openly being able to pray to God wherever you happen to be. You know what they're doing in Europe. You can't pray near an abortion clinic or else they're going to throw you in the clink. That is a dangerous, slippery slope. Michael A. Charbon, sir, thank you very much. Appreciate the time and the discourse. It's always appreciated. Coming up, the Jeffrey